A lot of Americans are having a hard time trying to pay their bills on time. Because the majority of the Americans are in debt, it's likely for them to live a paycheck-to-paycheck kind of life, and even worse, their paycheck is not enough to even afford basic needs. Living that kind of life, you're basically living on the edge of a cliff, as missing just one credit card payment will have you pay more interest in the next one. Which means you are now less likely to pay the next one as well due to how big it became from the previously missed payment. This cycle will just go on and on and on until you find yourself in a position where you can never find a way out. In America, the average household is paying a total of $1,000 for credit card interest as well as fees. This literally means that most people don't use credit cards to build credit points, but because they need to swipe their credit cards in order to afford necessities. Hi! Welcome back to Grayson Finance. In today's video, we're gonna be talking about how Americans are broke and the threats of a recession to occur. In the years 2018 to 2020, Americans pay $120 billion each year for credit card interest and fees. It became this big as Americans are having a hard time paying their credit card payments on time. Credit card payments are just one type of interest Americans pay. Let's not forget car loans, mortgages, student debts, and so on. In 2018, a survey revealed that in 12,000 American households, 40% are unable to afford a $400 emergency bill. $400 just lasts a week for a lot of people, and not being able to afford a $400 emergency bill means that you are below the poverty level. On the other hand, the middle class in the US is not as many in number as it was before. Currently, they hold a smaller share of US wealth than those who belong to the upper 1%. When you think about it, it's quite disappointing to know how the entirety of the middle class controls a smaller share of the economy than just 1% of the population. One factor that affected this is the 2020 global pandemic. While there were stimulus checks given to everyone, there were also trillions of dollars directed to the pockets of the companies that were already earning so much. Looking back at the pandemic's first 2 years, we've noticed a fall in the income of 99% of people generally. On top of that, a devastating number of 160 million people were forced into poverty. Of course, even when we were in the middle of a crisis, there were still opportunities presenting themselves. But, in order to take advantage of the opportunities, first, you shouldn't be too busy trying to survive or you will miss it. On the other hand, the top 10 richest men are only increasing their wealth rapidly since the pandemic started. Their wealth now is ridiculously high that they were considered to have 6 times more wealth than the poorest 3.1 billion. You might have realized at this point that there is an overwhelming wealth inequality during this crisis. We may choose to complain about the present wealth inequality. However, it won't actually make a significant change in our current circumstances. However, the best thing we can do is speak about these problems and elect someone competent enough to tackle these problems. We should also do something to make our financial position improve or at least become better. Some people would feel like losing all hope because they are already at the bottom. However, that's just an excuse to not work hard. If you think that way, then you can never find a way out of your financial situation. You can get out of that situation if you push yourself harder. Credit cards are convenient and have benefits you can take advantage of if you use them wisely. However, nowadays, people have little to no control over themselves using their credit cards. This is because once they get addicted to using credit cards all the time, they max it instantly, and as a result, they pay thousands of dollars in interest. If you are someone who couldn't control the way they spend, here's a suggestion for you. Get a credit card for subscriptions such as Netflix or even YouTube. Considering how small the money you need to have your credit card pay for, no matter what happens, you will still be able to pay for it. Don't use that credit card for anything else and live as if you don't even have a credit card in the first place. You'll be able to build your credit scores and enjoy benefits without risking possible trouble in the future. Debt is one of the main reasons why there are a lot of poor people. With student debts are even more accessible to young people, making them potentially suffer trying to make debt payments. A lot of students are struggling to pay their debts after they graduated from college and landed a job. With people struggling to pay off debts, most of the young adults who graduated are unable to take up any opportunities, such as starting a business or joining a startup. These newly grad students are more focused on landing a job in order to pay off their student loans right away, before it generates more and more interest. Not to mention, the average interest rate of student debt is 6%, making it extremely high. Another reason why there are a lot of people falling into poverty is the consumerism culture. A lot of Americans just buy and buy items they won't even get to use or need in the first place. Not to mention the ridiculously big amounts of food going to waste every day in an American household. Another reason is we are very likely to get into recession, which will make us suffer quite a lot. While there are those who say it is unlikely to happen, there are enough reasons for you to at least be conscious. It's important to save as much money as you can now, as money is highly important during a recession. While this may be a bad time as inflation only makes everything a lot more expensive, it's important to still prepare if you want to make the next recession your turning point. On top of saving money, more seriously now, you also need to consider investing in order to fully prepare yourself and most likely avoid the paycheck-to-paycheck kind of lifestyle during the recession. Of course, the US is not broke. Far from it actually. While it has already reached its potential, growth is still achievable and there is always room for it. It is the wealthiest country in the world and it will remain like that in the foreseeable future. What the Americans are challenged to do is to take advantage of this current wealth, especially since we are in the middle of the greatest wealth transformation in history. Thanks so much for watching! I hope this video was helpful. Make sure to click like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to keep you updated on new helpful videos like this one.